The award is a prestigious local honor for individuals or organizations with extraordinary contributions to the fight against cancer through humanitarian efforts, distinguished service, and leadership. So Mike Schmidt is this year's Fan of the Year recipient, and Mike has been a dedicated supporter of the Coaches vs. Cancer Green Bay Gala since its inception in 2022. Through his role at Bay Care Clinic, he has also championed other American Cancer Society initiatives, including the Real Men Wear Pink campaign, the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk, and numerous other events over the years. So that was back in 2022. But in April 2024, Mike's commitment to the cause became deeply personal when he was diagnosed with stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma. Despite undergoing treatment, he remained a steadfast leader and an inspiring presence in the community. Mike's story of strength and perseverance, however, began long before his cancer diagnosis, but tonight we honor not only his battle, but his enduring spirit and unwavering dedication to make a difference. We are honored to recognize Mike's efforts with our Fan of the Year award, so please help me welcome Mike Schmidt to the stage. No, wait, 1 second, Mike, 1 second. We have a little surprise for Mike. He doesn't know about this. For those of you who may not know, Mike is the definition of a true sneakerhead, which couldn't be more perfect for our Suits and Sneakers theme, you know, the one I missed. Mike, we've invited a few friends of yours to help kick things off, so please help me welcome to the stage Ryan Hobson of the Green Bay Blizzard and Zane Statz, a talented muralist and custom shoe artist, and Bentley Gerzak from 23's Cleats for Kids. 23's Cleats for Kids is a Green Bay-based nonprofit that helps kids get in the game, making sure they have access to cleats that they need to play sports and stay active. So knowing your passion for sneakers, Ryan and Bentley teamed up with Zane to design something truly one of a kind. Check these out. They're here to present you with a custom pair of sneakers. So thank you, Ryan, Bentley, and Zane, for helping us create this moment. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Olivia. Appreciate you. Woo. That's a win right there. I can leave tonight getting those kicks. So thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here to help raise awareness and funds for the fight against cancer. I want to thank the American Cancer Society for bringing this event to Green Bay, which is now in its 4th year. As some of you might know, as you just heard, I'm a huge sneakerhead. So this is by far my favorite event every year. I joke that I always make shoe contact before eye contact, and tonight that's without a doubt true. I want to thank our fearless leader and chair, Tommy, along with Megan from the American Cancer Society for everything they've done to make this event a growing success every year. Their countless hours of meetings, planning, and executing tonight's schedule cannot go unnoticed. Please join me in giving them a huge round of applause. As was said, I have been involved with this event since its inception, and to see this atrium filled up with 625 people is truly amazing. I want to thank my family for being here tonight, my wife, Katerina, and my youngest daughter, Gabby Jane. Gabby has a better shoe collection than me, so she's excited to be here, and I'm sure she's already filling up her online shopping cart as we speak. But there's someone very important missing from our family table tonight. On December 21st, 2022, our lives changed forever when our oldest daughter, Ava Ray, passed away from a sudden and brief battle with the flu. She was a healthy 14-year-old freshman at Bayport High School who loved all things nature and dance. The story of her passing reached people throughout the area, the state, nationally, and internationally. We know how incredibly rare it is for the flu to take the life of an otherwise healthy teenager. This story begins the way so many stories of winters in Wisconsin do. Ava was sick. I had taken her to the urgent care on a Saturday, and we received a typical flu diagnosis. She was instructed to rest up and keep pushing fluids. She rested in bed throughout the weekend, and I stayed home from work with her on Monday. That evening, Gabby and I were here at Lambeau for the Monday Night Football game. During the game, Katerina texted me to let me know she was planning to take Ava to the ER as her condition slightly worsened. 15 minutes later, I received the worst phone call of my life. Katerina was screaming at me to get to the hospital. Ava had lost consciousness in the car on the way to the emergency room. The moments that followed were a blur of sprinting to the car and racing to St. Mary's Hospital. I don't remember much of the time between receiving the phone call and running through the hospital doors, but your world stops spinning when you see someone you love with your entire being unconscious on a stretcher. Ava was transferred to St. Vincent Pediatric ICU, where we were told she would have a 50% chance of survival. Her body was breaking down and sepsis was setting in. We stayed at St. Vincent until Tuesday night and eventually got Ava transferred to the Milwaukee Children's Hospital to try to get her on the ECMO machine. Her doctors prepared us that it was highly likely she would not even survive the ambulance ride to Milwaukee. We followed the ambulance, praying the entire way for God to let her still be alive when we got there. He must have heard us because Ava did survive the ride. The amazing team at Children were waiting for Ava when we arrived and were able to successfully complete the surgery required to get her on the ECMO machine. The surgeon was optimistic about how well the surgery had gone, and we spent the longest, most sleepless night of our lives in the lobby waiting for an update on our girl. We woke up that morning and received the news no parent ever wants to hear. The sepsis had ravaged her previously healthy body, and her organs were shutting down. There was nothing more the doctors could do for her. That day, December 21st, 2022, we said goodbye to the light of our lives. We had lost our daughter. Gabby had lost her sister. In the matter of 4 days, we had gone from a common flu diagnosis to listening to a doctor call her official time of death. Ava was gone, and we were living every family's worst nightmare. The following days, weeks, and months were filled with anxiety, grief, sadness, and the constant question, why? Why Ava? Why not me? I'm her dad. Dads are supposed to protect their children. I found myself unable to sleep. I was experiencing depression like I had never felt in my entire 40 years. I contemplated suicide more times than I can even count. I did everything I could to conceal my struggle from those around me, and to be honest, I think I was actually pretty convincing. I continued working, continued showing up for the people around me, and continued to be involved with anything I could to help people. I'd always been the guy that people could depend on, and through my depression, I fought tirelessly to continue to be that person. Fast forward to April of 2024, and another day that will be permanently engraved in my memory. For the second time in less than 2 years, a doctor rocked my entire world with a single sentence: you have cancer. At 42 years old, I was diagnosed with stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma. Prior to my diagnosis, I had considered myself a relatively healthy guy. I suffered immensely through the occasional man cold, nursed the ever-present sore back, pushed through the aches and pains that seemed to show up more and more often with each trip around the sun, and I bought stock in Advil to diversify my portfolio, obviously. About a month after my diagnosis, I began to notice a bulge on the left side of my neck. I weightlift every morning with a couple of other not exactly spring chickens. So I immediately brushed it off as a pulled muscle or a pinched nerve. not giving it much attention beyond the occasional stretch. The discomfort of my neck persisted, eventually causing me to self-treat using my at-home massage gun. I would push down hard on that spot, thinking I could relieve the tension somehow, but found no relief. With Gabby playing club soccer, we spent a lot of time riding in the car, sitting on bleachers and sleeping in hotel beds. I had convinced myself that one or all of these things contributing to developing a knot in my neck. That was until I noticed that my throat was becoming tight and swallowing food at times was very difficult. Believe it or not, I really love to eat, and I'm pretty good at it too. But even with all the practice I get, I found myself choking on even small, soft bites of food. Again, I reasoned my symptoms away. My inability to swallow food properly was obviously the universe telling me to cool it on the Starbucks pastries by ramping up my seasonal allergies enough to have a sore throat. It wasn't until a random Sunday afternoon in my neighbor's garage that I understood something was in fact very wrong. We were playing darts and having a couple of Busch lattes, and I asked my friend Kristen, who was a nurse practitioner, to take a look at my neck. She put her hand on my neck, and her typical cool under the pressure demeanor immediately fell away. She was intent that I make an appointment to be seen as soon as possible. More than a little anxious about Kristen's reaction, I immediately texted my friend Mackenzie, who was a nurse practitioner in our Baycare ENT department. I was in her office 4 days later, at which point she ordered a CT scan to be done right away. I had the scan done that morning and went about my workday as usual. Mackenzie expressed that she wanted to show one of her doctors, and shortly after I received a phone call from her requesting that I come and speak to Dr. Sonnenberg. In the moments that followed that phone conversation, I had a sobering realization that my life was about to change again. I sat in the exam room with Dr. Sonnenberg as he brought up the images from my CT scan on the computer screen. I stared at the image, fixed on the huge white mass on my neck. Before the words even left his mouth, I already knew I had cancer. It was a moment a lot like the one I experienced 18 short months earlier. The moments were a blur, but somehow every detail is still vividly etched in my brain. I sat in the exam room and cried, thinking 1,000 thoughts all at once, but continuing to come back to the same two. How is this happening? And am I going to die from this? The initial shock of learning I had cancer lasted about a day, but fairly quickly my stubbornness and competitive nature kicked in. I was going to fight this. Besides the most obvious mass in my neck, my chest and the area around my heart were riddled with tumors. Despite that, I received encouraging words from my oncologist, Dr. Gautam, who told me, "You are a young, fit, healthy man. These tumors will melt away with 6 months of chemo." He assured me that Hodgkin's lymphoma is considered a very beatable cancer with early detection, and I was determined to kick its ass. Because of the tumors around my heart, they were unable to place support in my chest, opting instead to gift me with a lovely PICC line in my upper arm, complete with 2 tubes and a giant plastic sieve that would accompany me through 6 months of showers. Those that have undergone chemo treatments understand that there's no sugar coating the toll it takes on your body, your psyche, and your spirit. The time spent receiving treatments every 2 weeks, the months of feeling nauseous all day, every day, the anxiety as you wait to receive the results of your blood tests, and the fear of each conversation following a scan. But Dr. Gautam was right. The tumors melted away and took then my fear of losing any life to this disease living inside my body. Today the tumors are gone, but the damage they cause is still with me, even now as I give this speech. One of the tumors in my chest damaged the nerve that controls my left vocal cord, causing it to become paralyzed. My once boisterous and probably embarrassing soccer dad voice became a whisper. It was a consequence I hadn't been prepared to face during my initial diagnosis. I had beat cancer, but in doing so, I had lost a part of myself. Previously an incredibly social guy, I withdrew from everything and everyone around me. I declined invitations to social events, spent more time on my phone, and avoided conversations that left me frustrated and extremely embarrassed. It became easier to stay quiet since most of my social interactions were spent fielding questions about what was wrong with my voice and being asked to repeat myself. You wouldn't think that being able to speak in only a whisper would be as debilitating as it has been, but for me, it had an enormous impact on my day-to-day life. Even so, I knew from the beginning that I would approach this situation with the same mind over matter attitude that had gotten me through much of the previous 2 years. I had been determined to live as normally as possible throughout my treatment to show my family, friends, and coworkers that I wasn't going to let this affect my life. I showed up to work before my treatments and returned to the office following those appointments. I continued being on the sidelines for all of Gabby's games and became more involved with the nonprofit Grit 920, whose mission, along with ACS, is very close to my heart. As part of my work with Grit 920, I was asked to compete on their behalf in the Northeast Wisconsin Dancing with Our Stars competition. For those that aren't familiar with the Dancing with Our Stars, it's a competition where local leaders in the community learn a ballroom style of dance over the course of 6 months and then perform that dance in front of about 1,000 people. During those 6 months, the dancers raise funds for the nonprofit they are representing. I received my cancer diagnosis about a month after the initial press conference was held announcing the competitors. I knew that dancing in and of itself was going to be a challenge for me, a guy with 2 left feet. Never mind doing it alongside cancer treatments. But in an effort to continue living my life as normally as possible, I stayed true to my commitment and poured myself into learning ballroom dance. It provided me an opportunity to shine a light on Grit 920, but additionally, and perhaps more importantly for my mindset at the time, it allowed me an opportunity to honor Ava by learning to dance and perform, something she did with such passion and grace. The treatments and the weekly dance lessons kicked my ass, but I never gave up. With help from many individuals, some of are in this room tonight, I won and brought home the coveted gold mirror ball and a check for Grit 920 for over $147,000. It was a special night to get a small glimpse into what Ava felt like being on stage and performing her dance routines. I had my final chemo treatment the week after winning the dance competition, and while it was a huge relief to finally get those pick lines out and throw away my plastic shower sleeve, the craziness of the last 6 months coming to an abrupt stop brought my grief hurtling back to center stage. Shortly after Ava passed, I heard an analogy that stuck with me. Grief is like a stone in your pocket. You always have it with you. There are minutes, hours, days that you might not feel it there. But then you bump your pocket a little bit, and suddenly you are reminded of its presence, and the weight of that stone overtakes you. You never move on from the loss of a child. You simply get used to the way it feels to carry it with you forever. In the time since completing my treatment, I've read multiple studies that suggest the grief that I experienced following Ava's death may have been a contributing factor to my cancer diagnosis. Because I wasn't sleeping, my immunity was down and the T cells that fight cancer cells were no longer being produced at levels high enough to protect me. The psychological impact of losing a child, coupled with not taking care of myself, were a recipe for disaster in regard to my health. It is my hope that with the money raised by ACS, there will be further studies that can determine potential ties between cancer diagnosis and experienced trauma, similar to what I went through. Over the past 2.5 years, I've been told more times than I can count that I'm an inspiration. While very flattering, that has always been a tough compliment for me to accept with grace. The truth is that I've never really felt like an inspiration. I'm just a guy with great shoes who has gone through a tremendous amount of loss and stress and found a way to turn it into something positive. If that inspires even one person to do the same, then I've achieved more than I thought I would be possible in the aftermath of some of the darkest moments of my life. I understand now better than ever the importance of telling people what they mean to us while we have the opportunity to do so. There are people here tonight that have inspired me along my journey, and I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize them. Please stand up when I call your name. Katerina and Gabby Jane. You've both suffered a greater loss than anyone should have to live through, but you continue to carry on. Your strength and determination inspire me every day. And I know Ava is so proud to call you mom and little sister. Thank you. Katie Krause. You guys can stay standing up. Stay standing up, please. Katie Krause, you've been Katerina's best friend since childhood and an honorary auntie to our kids. You are by our side following Ava's death and through my cancer treatments. I love the quote, "Some people are human medicine. You spend an hour with them and everything seems better." That's you, Katie. Thank you. Janelle Rademacher, my first best friend. You provided countless texts and endless support, spent time with me during chemo, and connected me with your friend at UW Health to answer my questions and ease my mind. Thank you for being the best big sister. Jessica Winkle. Yeah. You are more than my coworker. Honestly, you should be up here with me right now. You are the heart of our team, and what you do for Bras of the Bay to raise awareness and money for breast cancer patients, along with helping organize the Making Strides Walk, is truly inspiring. Thank you. Thank you. Kristen Mercado and Mackenzie Zuliger. Kristen, without you showing the concern you did, I probably would have continued making excuses for why my neck was so messed up and put off texting Mackenzie. Mackenzie, you didn't skip a beat in making room to see me and setting me on the path to diagnosis and treatment. Without both of you, this story could have had a very different ending. Thank you. Dr. Sonnenberg, Dr. Gotham, Sarah Bugholz, Nicole Warner, along with my ENT surgeon in Milwaukee, Dr. Sony, and Karen, my speech therapist that couldn't be here tonight. My dream team at Aurora Baycare Medical Center and the Vince Lombardi Cancer Center. You treated me with so much grace and provided me so much confidence from day one. Sarah, thank you for letting me text you a million questions since my voice was gone. I'm sure you aren't missing those at all. You were all the heroes in my story, and undoubtedly the stories of countless others whose lives you've impacted throughout your careers. Thank you for all you do. Now, Dr. Gotham, I have my 3-month follow-up appointment tomorrow morning with you, so let's not party too late tonight, okay? Chris Kimbrough. My brother from another mother and owner of Stars Barbershop. What started as a client-barber relationship has become one of my more cherished friendships. We connected shortly after Ava's death and the death of your mother. Our conversations every couple of weeks to keep this head tight helped me more than you know. You managed to find time to support me while continuing to do so much for the youth in our community. You inspire me. Thank you for all you do. Holly Linder, Brian Gajewski, and Michelle DeCuna. Holly, the executive director of Grit 920, along with our incredible trainers, Brian and Michelle. You know I love you guys, and I love the community that we serve. Your passion is contagious, and your ability to connect with each of our athletes is making an incredible impact. Thank you for all you do. And my beautiful guardian angel, Ava Ray. Your humor, heart, determination, and your random acts of kindness are still alive in this world. And you continue to inspire me every day. Thank you for letting me be your dad, and I'm so lucky to call you my daughter. By now, I'm sure each of you have noticed the seed packet at your place setting. As I mentioned before, Ava was born with a love of nature. She would often come home with little seeds she had found on the playground at school and request the supplies required to plant them. What started as kind of sad, dried out seed in Dixie cups would eventually sprout and quickly outgrow their tiny makeshift pots. To my surprise, the seeds that showed very little promise of turning into anything except a forgotten cup of dry dirt on the windowsill would continue to flourish in Ava's love and outgrow pot after pot. These tiny labors of Ava's love are planted in the yard around our home, where they continue to grow and thrive. In honor of Ava, I ask that each of you pour your love into these seeds placed before you the same way that she would have. As the Chinese proverb states, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago and today. The ACS has been planting trees for many years, and tonight it's our responsibility to plant the trees of the future for all the people who will benefit from our love and generosity 20 years from now and beyond. Please consider donating in the paddle race coming up next, as I know the funds will make an incredible impact for patients like myself. Thank you again to the ACS, and I hope to see you back all here next year. Enjoy the rest of your night.